And here we are, ready to meet the pro player. It's Clutch, meet my partner in crime for this challenge. Clutch is one of the best players in Gods Unchained, if not the greatest of all time. So Clutch, can you introduce yourself in a few sentences and say what was your biggest achievement?
Well, thank you for the intro. I'm flattered. So I think my biggest accomplishment in GU esports would be the 2021 Player of the Year tournament. Now, I know what you're thinking. That was like 6 years ago, and I am still hanging on to it. That is my biggest achievement. But recently, I did just win the Fake Muse Superb Owl 4. So pretty recent, and yeah, I'm feeling good.
Now that you know who is representing the pro side, if you have already made predictions, now it would be a good time to edit them. As I've mentioned, the stakes are high. There will be exciting rewards for everyone. We will both contribute to the reward pool in a way, and this is how we would like to support and show our appreciation for you, the Gods Unchained community. I let Clutch fill you in with the details.
Okay, so for every game that the person with the budget deck wins against the whale player, we will add 100 gods into a pool. And after the challenge is over, whatever that number is, whether it's like, I mean, maybe it could be, it could be 1200. Whatever it is, we'll raffle it off to the community, to the viewers.
We forgot to mention that after we play out our 6 games in this setting, we will swap decks to make a point that these decks are strong, and it's not the deck that matters, but the player who controls it. Either it will be 50 gods per person or 100 gods. We'll let you know. The eligibility and how to enter the giveaways are the following. Be a subscriber to my YouTube channel. Leave a comment under the video of this series. There will be 3 videos in total, so the more comments you make, the more chances. Great. Now that we know the giveaway details and the challenge, it's time to look at the decks. Clutch, show us what you got.
Okay, so the first one up, I tried to make all these decks not like anti-aggro. Like, I feel like if I tried to make decks that just countered... Now, I haven't seen your decks. I don't know what you're bringing, but I feel like I can assume they're on the aggro side. But I didn't want to make my decks anti-aggro to make it like unfair. So I wanted to make like good decks, like in any format, at any rank, against anybody, okay?
Assumptions are very good.
But yeah. But like, I didn't want to make it counter that. So I'm running up first. We got Ramp Magic, very standard list, I think. I just put in a second Pyric Knowledge. My tournament list was only running 1, but I think 2 is probably best. And this is just probably the most standard list out there right now. Like, anyone watching this that's in Mythic has seen this list, or maybe 2 cards different. This is plaguing ladder right now, and it's insanely strong. Probably the best list in my lineup, to be honest.
Unfortunately, I don't run any counters to this deck with the what is that called? You know, transform the guy.
Yeah, dearly departed or something.
Yeah. So if we reach a Randian turn, then I'm done for. What can you say? The weakness of this deck, maybe? How can I?
Your best move to beat this deck would be to come out fast and also hope that I don't have any of my ramp. I mean, I run 4 ramp cards, but maybe they're all in the bottom 10 cards of my deck. And if you need to win before I get to 7, basically, because I have Demo or Hortuk or Unbound Flames to clear your board and win the game from there. So that should be your goal, but it's gonna be tough.
If you face the Randian deck, then just go full force and try to win before they ramp up. Okay. Yeah. What do we have next? Next deck is called CD. What can you say about this one?
CD is Control Deception. This one, I took a little bit more time to build because I'm not too confident in the Control Deception builds that are out there. I like this one. It's very clean looking. Wouldn't you agree? It looks very like a very tight list. It looks very nice to the eyes.
It's very good. We have some cool cards like Charm.
Yeah, so Charm is like one of those cards that's probably not going to be useful in this challenge at all. It's 8 mana, but I got to run it anyway because you're not running a Control Deception list without Charm. It's like the most toxic card in the Deception class. You got to run it.
Yeah, I really hope that you stuck with this card early on.
Yeah, well, I plan to pick Flip, so I'll get rid of it instantly.
That's true. I would assume that this deck, the weakness of this deck is similar to the previous one.
I would agree. This one has more early game answers though, like the armor lurker, the sleep darts, and stone skin, stuff like that. So it's just instead of like ramp, which the Magic has, game plan should be the same from your side. Just win before turn 7.
And what do you think is the counter of this deck? You know, maybe I'm running some Anubians.
I take back what I said. I feel like this deck is you can win past turn 7 because I'm not running Ember Onis. So really, you just have to kill 1, maybe 2 demos depending on what deck you're running. I think you could outreach this deck. It's very low on value, I think. It relies on like charm, like stealing your value. And if you're an aggro deck, you're not going to have much value. So I don't think...
And now that I'm seeing you're not running any Umber arrows, like what's the reason on that?
I don't think the best lists are running Umber arrows right now. I think they're easy to play around and people just know.
I see. Okay, going on to the third deck is BVD.
Yeah, this is my fun list, but also pretty strong. Like, I was looking at the death decks right now. Control Death is not that good ever since they changed the God Power from Blood Ritual to Ignite. So I didn't really want to play Control Death, and Rock Drakes is not very expensive. So I wanted to build a little bit more expensive deck. Though I do think Rock Drakes is better than this deck, or even Anubians is probably better than this deck. But this is a throwback deck. If you have any watchers that are like OG, they'll know Board White Death. All I did was throw in Hortuk because that card's really...
No, I remember that the OG BVD had the Kopesh and the Hypocrite monster. You didn't want to go that route, you know that.
No. No, that one got outclassed by the Jason once the game got faster. Now it's even faster, so I don't think this is gonna be very good either. This will be your chance to get some games in off of this list.
Awesome. And from these decks, this one is the cheapest coming in with only $50 above 1,000.
Very cheap.
Very cheap, yeah. Next deck we have CL, probably stands for Control Light.
That's right. This is probably my second most confident deck. I play this deck a lot. Literally this exact list is just like this, and it's very strong, very anti-aggro with the double lips are sealed and Tidal Prayer to make sure you find them. And then of course you'll notice the similar thing with all these decks is we got Hortuk demos to seal off the game once it gets there.
Yeah, and I remember playing Control Light, and I even got one time like first on the weekend rank, and it's very similar. The only new card with the new set is Tidal Prayer. Like, what are your thoughts on this card?
I think Tidal Prayer is a great card. In an aggro matchup, it's kind of cheesy and it's not good to rely on, but it does help. You could get your Mercy to 6 mana, which is huge. You can play like 2 turns earlier. And then also digging for, like I said, Lips Are Sealed or Censure when you need it is huge. And also I'm running Vesper over Ico in this list, and this is the only like control deck that I don't run Ico in because I like Vesper like a lot more because it's super anti-aggro. It's 1 mana protected, it boosts your spear, and dealing 1 to a relic is pretty much destroying it nowadays. Like, and I also took out I don't run Inescapable Duty, which is another good control card, so I took it out for more anti-aggro, and that's just my ladder list. Like, I didn't do it on purpose. That's just what I run on ladder because ladder's all aggro pretty much.
Yeah, I see.
So this,
yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying this is gonna be a tough. This is probably the toughest list. Maybe this might be better than the Magic list.
Yeah, and I just had one thought and experimentation with Tidal Prayer. I was trying to figure out if there is any good combos like value, as you mentioned. Yeah, all in all, Tidal Prayer, if casted with Mana Surge, then it's a really powerful card. I agree.
Yeah, if you want to do some cheese with Tidal Prayer, you can run Zealous March and get a 6 mana Zealous March into like Asterius, and then that's pretty cool. I made a deck for that.
Oh wow!
It didn't work.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
It didn't work too well, but it was fun.
But it's good to experiment. Very good. Control Nature. Well, now this is, I think, very interesting.
Yeah. What do you think of this list? I mean, it looks like a neutral. Control neutral is what it looks like. I built this just for that tournament that I just played in the other day, and I think it's good. It should beat Arandian because you have the Dearly, you have the infinite healing with the Vassic Isles. And the way I built it is like super draw heavy. You'll notice I have the Zaskia, the Glen, the Looters. And it's all about the draw because we're running the Curious Wisp win condition. So you got to cycle through so you can play the Wisp multiple times. But this deck, I'm not too sure about this deck.
Yeah, especially if you're running against aggro. I think this deck is mostly to counter the, these win condition control type decks, right?
Yeah, because this is the only list you'll notice that I'm running Dearly in, which is, the Arandian counter. But I don't like running Dearly in general on ladder because, yeah, you run the Arandian sometimes, but it's just not good. It's just not all the time. Like, it's not worth running Dearly Departed, which is a bad card in 90% of the matchups. I don't think it's worth it. But in a build like this, I think you can get away with some greed in running Dearly Departed.
I see this card from the new set, Swallow Hole. I want to hear your thoughts about this because I think that this card on its own is very powerful.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful. So if they have 4 minions, it'll destroy all 4 if it's mana surge, or it'll go through ward. If they have 1 minion with ward, it'll go through ward. And one combo I've seen with it is you play Therial, you get the Goblets Cultist, or get the Goblets Cultist or any Cultists, and Swallow Hole will buff the Cultists. As long as you have one of them with Goblets, it'll give the buffed one Goblets, obviously, and it's like a crazy and like insane damage combo that, and again, that's not like the point of the deck, but it's like an added thing that makes it like flow together pretty nicely.
Yeah, that's a very, very good call. I mean, wow. This deck comes in at a $1,700 Renos.
It's more expensive than the light list, barely.
It takes first place. But let's not leave out our last deck, which is Control War by Clutch. Wow. I'm just seeing the price and saying, wow.
Yeah, I haven't played this list yet. I'm actually excited to play it just looking at it. But I think what really pumps this deck's price is the Martyrs. I'm not running Martyrs in any other list, and I don't know why Martyrs feel so good in Control War. Maybe it's the Soul Survivors, but they just feel great, and I just love running them. So that could bump the price in this, and yeah, this is just Sea War, and it's very even. Look, it's the same amount of. I mean, it looks even. It looks nice. It's a nice looking list.
It looks, perfectly balanced.
Yeah, and you did mention it's $2,000, but I will say, if for people looking, thinking it's like a lot of money and overwhelming, all these decks have the same, like, 5 neutral cards in common. So if you wanted to buy some cards, like, don't worry, they will go in any deck. Like, you could, like, it really opens up your variety of decks when you buy these neutral cards that are insane.
Yeah, for example, Therial and Hortuk and demos.
Personally, no, this is not financial advice, but I would put Hortuk up as like the best 7-drop. Like, I don't think it's close.
I agree. When they introduced Hortuk, kind of broke the game. Just wanted to ask you with Martyr, what is the best combo to have with Martyr in this deck?
So anything past like 5 mana is really good to hit for Martyr to double back on. 2 avatars, 2 Hortuk stereos, anything like that. But really, I think I'm leaning towards Soul Survivor being like, if you have a Martyr down, they kill something, Martyr comes back, and it's like, makes it really hard to play around Soul Survivor, and which may be why I like it so much. And I remember I used to run the Demon Prince, the 9 mana card, and against Control Nature that was running Winter's Bounty, like, you would need, and the GP that healed them every turn, you would need to Martyr the Demon Prince, or else you're not getting enough damage. And I remember that was like, you had to play for that in that matchup. But I don't think in general nowadays you need to play for your Martyr to get something back double. I think anything is usually pretty good because you're picking the Fractured GP, you're not picking Valka's 1/1s. Okay, I was gonna say one thing I actually remember now. I did play a similar list to this recently. I aimed for martyring my Salvatore because I was playing against Arandian, and I wanted to play 2 Salvatores to try to get rid of their more burn spells. There's one example. It's just matchup dependent what you want to do with the Martyr. Very flexible card. That's why I like it.
That's what I wanted to add, that Martyr can be very flexible depending on who and what you're up against. Okay, so guys, we saw the decks that Clutch prepared for this neat little confrontation that we're gonna have. And now let's see what I have prepared for him.
Oh, I'm excited.
Alright guys, it's my turn to reveal my decks, and the first list that I'm bringing and putting on the table, we are already breaking the rules with this one, coming in at 50.75. So we agreed that a budget deck should be under $50. Some may say that a budget deck is $20 or $100, but I think with 50 we all agree that it's somewhat in that area. And the first one is Deception, Hidden Rush Deception. $50 is not a wide range to walk in or walk around, so I try to mimic competitive Hidden Rush decks. We don't have Pyramid Wardens that work very good with Assassin. Same tried to include some cheeky cards, like a little Prowler and heads or tails that to reach for that extra damage. What do you think about this deck, Clutch?
I think this is a good deck. You mentioned the Wardens. I think Wardens obviously a great card, but of all the lists to not run Wardens, I think HRD suffers the most from it because, like you said, you don't have that Assassin's Aim target, which can literally win you the game on the spot. But the Face Crawler kind of replacing it. And another thing about this list that I like is if I clear your board on turn 7, usually the game's over, right? But you have cards like Heads or Tails and Surprise Delivery, which you don't always see in like the top lists anymore, which can give you some more reach. And it's like the game isn't over on turn 7. You have hidden reach that could just get you there.
Next one is Amazon Nature. Okay, so Amazon Nature actually is very cheap. This deck performs really well in Mythic, and I think if you can have some really good start, then this deck can steamroll. Though I don't know, what is your experience when facing Amazons with these heavy control lists?
I always find Amazons to be pretty bad in general. I don't really like the deck. I think it needs some more help. So yeah, I don't see Amazons being too much of an issue. And you also don't have that big payoff card, that 5 mana spell that gives your Amazons +3 strength for me to worry about. So I feel like I have a lot of time to play my cards, clear your board a little bit, and then get the 7 mana.
Yeah, I was debating with my voices in my head to include that card, but if you don't agree with this deck, then I have some other one prepared, and that's, I call it Meme Nature, but it's not that meme. It's actually really good, but not that consistent, and it revolves around Food Chain. The deck revolves and builds around this card with some refreshments and you just get a wide board if you can pull it off. Any good words about this one? Should I bring this one instead of the Amazons?
Probably, to be honest. I think you go all in on you don't even have to really high roll with this deck. It has a lot of draw, and sometimes this version's running Wildfire. Like you just play like a traditional wild nature list that focuses on board control. I mean, you have good cards like Marshwalker and Jaguar and stuff. So I think this list is probably better, to be honest.
Very good, very nice. Next one is Card Draw Magic. The deck has all the necessary spells, well, except Ancient Text to finish off the opponent. What do you think about this one? Feeling scared queuing up against this deck?
Actually, yeah, burn decks are usually pretty good into control because control doesn't have that much healing. Just demos, which are good against board-centric decks, but this is like a burn you from hand type of deck that can really do some damage. I think I've seen a lot of CDM lists nowadays, though, running Glyn and double Hatchling. And I think Glyn's like a 7-cent card, so that may be worth the addition. Find a spot for Glyn in here, and it might make it even better.
That is a good pickup because I was searching through the cards and through the available cards that are currently in the game, and there's not a lot of draw that can be fitted in that $50 range. So thank you, Clutch. You're cutting the wood, under yourself with this one, but I think I'm gonna take the suggestion from you and put that in.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Maybe take out Vortimir or something. I haven't seen that card in years.
Going with the next deck is the fan favorite Nubians. And yeah, we all love it's, love and hate relationship. Though I think if you can get a good start, good start, I mean have Skull Scepter early, then you're pretty favorable. Other than that, it is a pretty solid list. There are some minor changes with its expensive brothers. Had to exclude the 4-mana legendary. Help me out with the name.
Frost Queen Neferu.
Yeah, Frost Queen Neferu Bay had to go. She's a bit too expensive. Other than that, I think this is a pretty solid list. Land of the Dead 2 times. What I'm missing from this deck are some initiators. So there are 2 1-mana cost spells that give birth to young creatures. So I won't be able to pull a fast one on you. So that's why I included 2 Land of the Deads to maybe combo it with Skull Scepter and try to finish the deal.
Yeah, one thing I'll note about this deck is when I'm playing control against the Nubians, and I play a demo, a lot of lists don't run Ray of Disintegration. So it's usually just GG because they have to either run their 2/2s into my demo, which heals me, or they just can't kill it and then they lose. But Ray is a really good answer for demo and it deals damage to me. So I think that's a good add. It will definitely help you in the matchups, I bet.
Yeah, I was also thinking of substitutions, and one could be that 6-mana spell that has odds or even on it, but that does Bifurcating Curse, thank you. Though that does not deal damage, so maybe the 2 damage extra reach will be crucial to have.
Yeah, I think Ray's better because it's cheaper too, and you really shouldn't be dealing with wide boards as a Nubians, I don't think.
Going with the next one is War. Whoops, I just saw a decrease on this one, though we're still in the range. And what I can say about this deck is in some of the previous ranked games from 2, 3, or 4 weeks ago, I spotted someone playing with this deck and he managed to get a top 10 ranking with this deck. Aggro wars are very similar, though everyone has their own taste. In this one we see 1 Sharpen, 1 Claw and Fang, and there is a Boil Blood Outlaw, okay. Sneaky card, I can't even pronounce it. And in the backgrounds behind the curtains, when we were discussing some things, Clutch made me realize something. And what was that?
That Boil Blood Outlaw is not a very good card, and Trial Spirit is a really good card, and you're only running 1 Trial Spirit. So a simple change to this deck, I think, is easy. Just take out Outlaw for a second Trial Spirit. And I've been having some debate about Claw and Fang, if that card's actually good or not, because it's Mana Surge 6, which is pretty late into the game. So if you're not Mana Surge, it's only 1 mana, deal 2 damage. Leech is not relevant in an aggro deck. So is that really worth it to run over like Vicious Rend or Auric Rush if you really want the 2 damage? But I guess Auric Rush doesn't go face. I don't know. I'm not convinced that Claw and Fang is a good card in aggro war.
Guys, you heard the GOAT. Some changes are necessary, so we're gonna do that.
Yeah, and another change, well, now that I'm looking at it, you're not running Bloodguard, the 3 mana 3/2 that summons 2 1/1s. I think that card's really good, really sticky, and you're running another round, so sticky things are good. Maybe take out, this is going to be a hot take, but I don't really like White Fur Guard either. I don't know if I would suggest taking it out. It's probably hard to deal with at certain ranks, but in the Mythic ranks, White Fur Guard is Not that good. I don't think. Maybe
Uh,
that's a hot take.
okay, back to the drawing board with this one. And last but not least, we have this aggro light that has been played more than 2,000 times.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. This is a widely popular deck. Everyone at least played with it, or played against it. And this deck revolves around going wide and putting them buffs on your creatures, and just trying to steamroll through your opponent because they cannot deal with the 6 HP protected, warded, armored,
Yeah, this looks like a disaster, I'll say. Why are we running one Theric Extortionist? I don't understand. That card's insane, and it's exactly what you want. You want to go wide with small minions, and that does it while also stealing my Pyramid Warden. I don't understand why you would only have one of those. And a lot of one-ofs in this deck. I'm not a big fan of one-ofs in most decks.
I think we're gonna take the suggestion from one of the best players in GU and try to find a place for a second Theric Extortionist.
Yeah, I think the Gleamweaver is a good start if you want to get rid of something.
Guys, you heard it from the man himself. We have 6 budget decks going through and going against 6 decks that are $1,000 or even more. We have the decks revealed, and now we're gonna play against each other in random format. So we are going to play with each god once, and hope to see to queue up with some favorable matches on both sides. Hope to see you in the next part of this video, and tell us in the comments who's gonna win this series.
I'm excited.